Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the live coverage of a Russian cargo docking to the International Space Station. This is going to be Progress MS-28 docking. So, this Progress MS-28 spacecraft will dock autonomously to AFT docking port on the ISS module in the International Space Station. The capsule that launched Space Ground 1 for Nikolai. The mission name.
Go ahead. Nikolai, radiogram, 16, 6 for step 6. That's going to be the flight program. Needs to be going to start at 5:11. It's going to start at 5:11. So the moment I start getting the video image from I need to start the recording. First you need step 7 to make sure that everything's working, working correctly, and then you start the recording.
Squares will go top to bottom. Top one is a secondary view provided by NASA of the ISS. Below that is a ISS tracker. And below that is ESA's, European Space Agency's ISS tracker. So we're keeping tabs on everything to do with International Space Station with live mission control audio that is publicly released, or 2 live cameras and 2 maps. Looks like NASA's getting ready to start their live stream.
Good morning from Mission Control in Houston and the International Space Station Flight Control Room here at the Johnson Space Center. Here in Houston, flight controllers belonging to the Orbit 1 team are watching the arrival of the Progress 89 cargo ship, the unpiloted cargo ship that launched 2 days ago from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan to deliver 2.8 tons of food, fuel, and supplies to the Expedition 71 crew aboard the International Space Station. The view that you're looking at is of the Progress from external cameras on the International Space Station as the station and Progress fly 260 miles just to the north of the Romanian capital of Bucharest. On this Saturday morning, the Russian crew members belonging to the Expedition 71 crew are up as the U.S. crew members on board joining them as part of the Expedition 71 crew are about to be awakened to begin basically an off-duty day for them. For the Russian crew members, however, Station Commander Oleg Kononenko and crewmate Nikolai Chub are at their positions in the Zvezda service module, manning a workstation called the Toru system, the telerobotically operated rendezvous system, essentially a joystick apparatus that would be used in the unlikely event a problem would occur with the Corps' automated rendezvous system on the Progress that is guiding the unpiloted cargo ship towards its destination, and a docking at the aft port of the Zvezda service module, docking scheduled just 53 minutes from now at 12:56 a.m. Central Time, 1:56 a.m. Eastern Time. As the flight controllers here in Houston watch the data, they'll be working with their counterparts half a world away at the Russian Mission Control Center in the town of Korolyov outside of Moscow. This view of the International Space Station Flight Control Room in Korolyov from a camera on the balcony overlooking that flight control room. Those are the flight controllers in charge of this morning's operation as they watch the progress of the Progress as it closes in for its docking to the aft port of the Zvezda service module. The Progress is loaded with 2.8 tons, as we said, of food, fuel, and supplies, the equivalent of 5,778 pounds of cargo. The breakdown includes 2,094 pounds of propellant, 926 pounds of water, 110 pounds of nitrogen, and 2,648 pounds of dry goods and supplies for the crew members on board the station. As mentioned, the station crew, all 9 of those crew members, led by Station Commander Oleg Kononenko of Roscosmos and his Russian crewmates Nikolai Chub and Alexander Grabenkin, joined by NASA astronauts Matt Dominic, Mike Barrett, Jeanette Epps, and Tracy Dyson, and the Starliner crew members Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams. Flight controllers in Korolyov reporting that the Progress, which is right on course for an on-time docking to the Zvezda service module, is now just 15 kilometers away. The fly-around that is typical of a Progress or a Soyuz rendezvous to the Russian segment of the International Space Station, that fly-around of about 91 degrees will essentially begin about 28 minutes from now, precisely aligning the forward docking port on the Progress vehicle with the aft port of the Zvezda service module. That port was vacated this past Monday by the departure of the Progress 87 cargo craft, which was deorbited and burned up harmlessly over the Pacific Ocean. That port on the aft port of Zvezda now waiting for the arrival of the Progress 89 cargo craft. Once the docking occurs, There'll be a couple of minutes to allow the relative motion between the two vehicles, the Progress and the station, to dampen out against one another, enabling the docking probe to begin to retract, basically pulling the station flush against the Progress docking interface, enabling hooks to close and form a hard mate between the two vehicles. About 2 hours after docking, Kononenko and Chub will be working to open up the hatch to the Progress 89 cargo craft and begin to unload the most critical of the cargo items on board so that the cargo unloading operations can begin throughout the day on Saturday, while the NASA crew members on board, comprising the rest of the Expedition 71 crew, essentially will have an off-duty day that will consist of normal housekeeping on a weekend, a midday meal, and exercise periods for all of the six NASA crew members who are on board the International Space Station. The journey of the Progress began with the launch of the Soyuz 2.1A booster on Wednesday evening U.S. time, 8:20 a.m. Baikonur time on Thursday morning. The Soyuz 2.1A booster began its journey off of Site 31 at the Baikonur Cosmodrome, arcing out to the northeast into an orbit inclined 51.6 degrees to either side of the equator. The Soyuz third stage deposited the Progress resupply craft into its preliminary orbit 8 minutes and 49 seconds after launch. The Progress solar arrays and navigational antennas were then deployed as planned, and the Progress since then has executed all of its rendezvous maneuvers perfectly to increase its altitude to match that of the International Space Station and to close the gap between itself and the station, ultimately resulting in an alignment with the Zvezda service module that will be occurring within the next few minutes. Over the course of the next 47 minutes or so leading up to the docking of the Progress resupply ship to the station, you'll be hearing the interpretation of discussions that will be ongoing between the flight controllers in Korolyov and the Russian crew members aboard the International Space Station as the Progress methodically closes the gap between itself and the aft port of Zvezda for its eventual link-up. At the time of docking, the Progress will have slowed its approach to about 1/10 of a meter per second, aligning itself through the Corps' automated rendezvous system, where the forward docking probe will be aligned with a crosshair docking target on the aft port of Zvezda for contact and capture that is scheduled at 12:56 a.m. Central Time, 1:56 a.m. Eastern Time. The Progress now just 10 kilometers away from the International Space Station. In the next few minutes, we'll begin to enter the neighborhood of the station. We are expecting views of the Progress from external cameras on the International Space Station and reciprocal views of the station from the external television camera on the Progress itself, that familiar cross-haired engineering camera view that also overlays data that shows the range between the Progress and the station as well as its rate of closure. The station and Progress currently flying 260 miles over northeastern Kazakhstan, moving now from northwest to southeast in its orbit inclined 51.6 degrees to either side of the equator. And the commands have now been sent to activate the Progress television camera. So we should be seeing views shortly from the progress of the International Space Station as the Progress closes in at a steady rate for its docking that is scheduled about 44.5 minutes from now. A short time ago, the International Space Station was maneuvered into the correct orientation for docking. Again, the Progress will move into what is called a fly around of about 91 degrees. That will come about 21.5 minutes from now as the Progress arrives in the neighborhood of the International Space Station, ultimately aligning itself, the forward docking probe on the Progress aligning itself with the aft end of the Zvezda service module. There will be a short period of station keeping to enable the Russian flight controllers to assess the orientation of the Progress relative to the aft port of Zvezda before the command is issued for initiating the final approach of Progress as it closes in for its link up to the International Space Station.
Station Moscow, Space to Ground 1 for Oleg. Oleg Garnik, yes. Good morning. Good morning, Yakov. Okay, we passed the 9-kilometer point. Please report on what you're doing. Have you been selecting any commands?
Yes.
Yes. We just monitored the television. The TV is on. I was about to call you, but you were ahead of me. We do have duplex line, so we do have the comm line. And PPS is on. Okay, excellent. That's per panel. Then we are done with page 19. We can proceed with page 20. Waiting for television. Monitor the video image.
There's our first view of the International Space Station from the external engineering camera on the Progress 89 cargo ship. In the lower left-hand corner, you see the data that is pertinent, most pertinent to the remainder of the rendezvous operations. The top value, 6.7 kilometers, shows the distance between Progress and the International Space Station at the moment. The lower value, minus 8.7 meters per second, shows the rate of closure.
If you have no objections, then I'm ready to start recording as per the step 8. Yes, you are go. Perform step 8. Turn the recording on.
Meanwhile, the flight controllers in Korolyov and the Russian Mission Control Center talking to Oleg Kononenko, the station commander, who, along with Nikolai Chub, is inside the Zvezda service module. Kononenko is headed for a lifetime achievement of more than 1,100 days in space at the time that he and Nikolai Chub, along with NASA astronaut Tracy Dyson, return to Earth. That's scheduled for September 23rd.
Moscow Station, Space the Ground One. Yakov, page 19 is complete in full. Copy. We are receiving the video. We have a visual of the station. Yes, we see that the station is in the center. It's kind of gray and blinking, but well, we could say that more or less we can see it. Excellent. So you have visual of the access. Okay, waiting for the monitoring. Then we will do the braking correction maneuver. Okay, Moscow, about the TV cameras. Yes, go ahead. Recording is on. Recording confirmed. We have two windows confirming that recording is in progress. Okay, copy.
This is Mission Control Houston. This view of the International Space Station just about in the crosshairs of this engineering view from the external television camera on the Progress 89 cargo ship, the unpiloted resupply vehicle that is in the home stretch of a 2-day journey from the launch pad of the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan to deliver 2.8 tons of food, fuel, and supplies for the 9 crew members aboard the International Outpost. The Progress is within 5 kilometers of its destination, which is the aft port of the Zvezda service module, closing at a rate of about 8 meters per second. The Progress about 15 minutes away from initiating its fly-around of the International Space Station, which will precisely align the forward docking probe on the Progress with the aft port of Zvezda. The Corps' automated rendezvous system essentially is a system that bounces radio signals back and forth between a comparable receiver between the Progress and that which is located on the service module itself on the Russian segment of the station that measures distance and rate of closure. This view, that dot that you see growing larger in the field of view is the Progress 89 resupply vehicle flying smoothly on, moving from northwest to southeast just to the south of Shanghai, China. All of the rendezvous maneuvers, all of the engine firings have been executed in a pre-programmed fashion, in flawless fashion so far. Again, the Corps' automated rendezvous system operating normally at this point, guiding the Progress in for what is expected to be an on-time docking about 35 minutes from now. As the Progress arrives in the neighborhood of the International Space Station, its rate of closure beginning to slow as planned. Onboard computers essentially will put the brakes on after the fly-around maneuver is complete. That will once again enable a momentary period of station keeping for the Progress as the flight controllers in Korolyov assess the relative orientation of the Progress to the aft port of the Zvezda service module, to which it will link up at 12:56 a.m. Central Time, 1:56 a.m. Eastern Time.